From a jaw-dropping temple with a glimpse into the underworld, to a hidden monument at Petra that's rewriting history. These incredible discoveries will blow your mind. How are these sites created and what secrets do they hold? Let's dive into some of the most fascinating ancient mysteries ever uncovered. Number 10. Wat Pumin. Wat Pumin is a stunning Buddhist temple in Nan, Thailand, famous for its breathtaking design and fascinating artwork. Each of the temple's 4 entrances feature a Buddha statue, and the interior walls are decorated with vibrant murals that depict everyday life back then. But there's more to this temple. A small dome-shaped building nearby offers a glimpse into the underworld. Yeah, it's actually rather terrifying. Inside, life-size scenes vividly portray what happens to those who stray from the Buddhist path. These dioramas show eerie punishments like people in boiling pots, people doused with hot oil, or people confined to trees while birds peck at them. Yeah, hard image to get out of your head. This unsettling display contrasts sharply with the peaceful murals inside the main temple where life is, joyful and fun. Number 9. The Petra Monument. Petra has amazed archaeologists for centuries, but a recent discovery has unearthed something incredible. It's a massive hidden monument spotted by satellites. This raised platform, about the size of an Olympic swimming pool, it's a one of a kind. There's not many structures that are similar. Now today, Petra is a popular tourist destination, but once it was a thriving caravan city at a major trade crossroad. While many ancient structures in Petra's urban center have been uncovered since it was first mapped back in 1812, this monument remained hidden until quite recently. Experts believe it was once a grand raised platform with a small building on top and a massive landscape around it. Pottery found nearby suggests that it was built during Petra's early days, possibly as part of an important public project. Who knows what other secrets Petra might still be hiding. Number 8. The Lost Labyrinth of Egypt. Greek historians like Herodotus described an awe-inspiring labyrinth near the pyramid complex of Hawara, a sprawling underground maze with countless chambers, grand halls, and inscriptions. Sounds like something from the Mummy movies. I don't want to go down there at all. This labyrinth was said to contain vast treasures and invaluable records of Egypt's history and religion. Now, despite its legendary status, no trace of this massive structure has ever been found. Is it even real? Some believe it may have been destroyed, while others argue it lies buried beneath layers of sediment waiting to be unearthed eventually. Now, if it does exist, the labyrinth could hold the key to understanding spiritual beliefs, architectural advancements, and cultural practices of ancient Egypt. Especially when we can't figure out how the pyramids were made, maybe this could help us. Could this wonder still be hidden beneath the sands, holding secrets that could rewrite history? I mean, literally rewrite the pages of history? Only time will tell. Number 7. Neanderthal cave circles. Humans are pretty old. Deep within Bruniquel Cave in southern France, hundreds of carved stalagmites rise from the cave floor, forming these mysterious circles. Now, discovered in 1990 but closed off until 2013, researchers finally examined these formations and found evidence of their use by early humans for heat, light, and cooking. Yeah, you wouldn't think any of that when you just looked at a photo. Originally thought to be around 40,000 years old, carbon dating revealed something even more incredible. These structures date back 165,000 years. I told you, we're pretty old. At that time, the only inhabitants in the area were Neanderthals. They were quite far from being these brutish, unintelligent beings they were once thought to be. They weren't like those stupid cavemen at all. These 400 carefully crafted structures showcase their resourcefulness and skill. Yeah, pretty smart for being so old. Number 6. Ancient Greek naval base. Thousands of years ago, Athens built hundreds of sleek warships to defend themselves against the Persian Empire. Now, of course, you have to put these massive ships somewhere, so they would store them in a massive naval base. This colossal structure, built between 520 and 480 BC, is believed to have housed the ships that won the legendary Battle of Salamis. So after a decade of research in murky waters, we now know this naval yard was one of the most impressive feats of ancient engineering and a big key to Greece's survival.
Among the most intriguing finds in the Amazon are the monumental mounds scattered across various regions. Unlike the flat geoglyphs, these earthen mounds rise above the surrounding landscape and may have served multiple purposes. defensive structures, platforms for ceremonies, or even markers of astronomical events. Some mounds feature terraced layers, suggesting they were built over many generations. And what is truly fascinating is that these mounds are often found in areas that also contain evidence of intensive agriculture. This has led some archaeologists to propose that mound building was part of a larger strategy to manage and transform the landscape. The sophistication of these constructions indicates that Amazonian societies were not only capable of creating awe-inspiring monuments, but were also experts in engineering and land management. Water is life, especially in the dense and dynamic environment of the Amazon. Alongside the geometric earthworks, scientists have uncovered evidence of intricate water management systems that suggest a deep understanding of hydraulics and agriculture. In several sites, channels and canals have been found in close proximity to the geoglyphs and mounds, indicating that the ancient builders were keen on controlling water flow to support their settlements and crop fields. Some of these canals are remarkably long, hinting at a network designed not just for irrigation, but also for transportation and possibly even ritual purification. The existence of these waterworks adds another layer of complexity to our understanding of Amazonian societies, one where engineering and environmental stewardship went hand in hand. This discovery challenges modern assumptions about primitive methods, showing instead that these ancient peoples had mastered techniques that are still relevant in sustainable agriculture even today. Among the diverse array of Amazonian earthworks, some circular ditches have a peculiar feature, a central platform that seems perfectly positioned to capture the first light of dawn or the glow of a setting sun. Could it be that these sites served as early observatories or ritual spaces aligned with celestial events? Several researchers have noted that the orientation of these circles corresponds with significant astronomical phenomena, such as solstices and equinoxes. This potential alignment suggests that the builders may have had an advanced grasp of astronomy, a tool used not only for practical purposes like agriculture, but also for marking time and celebrating seasonal cycles through ritual. The idea that these ancient communities built structures that double as celestial calendars is both enchanting and humbling, revealing a worldview where the heavens and earth were intimately connected through art, science, and spirituality. Step back and take a closer look at the intricate geometric designs etched into the earth. What might they mean? Unlike random drawings, these patterns are remarkably consistent and suggest a symbolic language that the ancient builders used to communicate ideas about order, nature, and the cosmos. Some of the designs incorporate spirals, concentric circles, and interlocking shapes that evoke both natural forms and mathematical precision. Researchers have hypothesized that these patterns could represent everything from maps of sacred sites to depictions of mythological stories, or even encoded astronomical data. Although the true meaning remains elusive, the level of detail and thought behind each design speaks volumes about the intellectual and artistic culture of these ancient Amazonian societies. When you stand before one of these sprawling earthworks, you can't help but wonder if there's a hidden order to the chaos of nature. A growing body of research suggests that many of these structures were deliberately aligned with celestial events. For instance, some geoglyphs and mounds are oriented towards the rising sun during the summer solstice or the winter solstice's sunset, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of the solar cycles. This alignment is not merely coincidental, it appears to be a deliberate choice that could have held ceremonial or calendrical significance. Imagine an ancient society gathering at these sites to mark the changing seasons, celebrating the cycles of nature with rituals that connect them directly to the cosmos. Such astronomical alignments reveal that the builders were not only skilled engineers, but also keen observers of the sky, integrating their knowledge of the universe into the very fabric of their environment. Imagine discovering an entire city, concealed by lush vegetation for thousands of years. In the Upano area of eastern Ecuador, archaeologists have uncovered a sprawling ancient metropolis built around 2,500 years ago and inhabited uninhabited for nearly 1,000 years. Using advanced LiDAR technology over a 300 square kilometer survey, they revealed 6,000 rectangular platforms, each about 20 by 10 meters and arranged in clusters around plazas with central platforms. These platforms likely housed homes and ceremonial spaces, all connected by an intricate network of straight roads and canals, including a jaw-dropping 25-kilometer long route. Nestled in the fertile shadow of a volcano, the city not only boasted sophisticated urban planning, but also challenges our old ideas that the Amazon was home to only nomadic tribes or tiny settlements. As one expert put it, this discovery forces us to rethink our Eurocentric notions of civilization and appreciate the complex, interconnected societies that once thrived deep in the jungle. Tucked away in the Brazilian state of Acre, the Acre geoglyphs are among the most well-documented and awe-inspiring earthworks in the Amazon. Discovered through a combination of aerial surveys and on-the-ground exploration, these vast geometric shapes, circular, rectangular, and sometimes even complex polygonal designs, stretch over hundreds of meters. What makes them so captivating? Their sheer scale and precision that suggest that an organized society once mobilized thousands of laborers to craft these monumental outlines on the earth. Researchers like Michael Heckenberger have pointed out that these geoglyphs indicate not only advanced engineering skills, but also a very rich cultural life, possibly serving as ceremonial centers or markers of territorial boundaries. These earthworks force us to rethink the long-held myth of the Amazon as an untouched jungle, revealing instead a dynamic landscape of human creativity and purpose. Travel a little further east near the city of Santarém in the Peru state, and you'll find another jaw-dropping set of structures. Satellite imagery and drone surveys have revealed intricate patterns etched into the land, geometric forms that echo the designs found in Acre, but with their own distinct flair. The Santarém earthworks are particularly intriguing because of their interlocking layout. Many appear connected by faint pathways and ditches that seem to lead from one ceremonial site to another. Some experts believe that these represent ancient roads or processional routes used during religious ceremonies. What's even more mysterious is the possibility that these geometric arrangements were not random at all, but might have been aligned with astronomical events, hinting at a complex understanding of the cosmos by their builders. Further south along the winding tributaries of the Peru River, researchers have uncovered a series of lesser-known circular earthworks that seem almost too perfect to be natural. These circular ditches, some with central platforms, appear deliberately constructed and are often surrounded by smaller peripheral features. Unlike the other counterparts we've already spoken about, these structures in the Peru region are less well known simply because they are more difficult to access. They're hidden under a thicker canopy and have only been revealed through persistent exploration and the help of modern imaging technology. The meticulous workmanship suggests these were not just casual markers. They were purpose-built, likely serving as focal points for community gatherings, defense, or even astronomical observations. Each circle tells a silent story of communal effort and ritual significance, reminding us that even the most remote parts of the Amazon hold clues to a sophisticated pre-Columbian society. Imagine wandering through the jungle and suddenly coming upon a long, straight causeway cutting through the undergrowth, an anomaly in the landscape where nature typically curves and weaves. In several regions of the Amazon, archaeologists have discovered what appear to be ancient road networks, intricately linked with the geoglyphs and earthworks. These causeways are not mere footpaths, but engineered roads that once connected separate ceremonial centers and settlements. Their construction would have required advanced planning and sustained labor, suggesting a level of societal organization that is as impressive as it is unexpected. Some researchers speculate that these roads were used during seasonal gatherings or pilgrimages, creating a physical and perhaps symbolic link between different communities.
These are the rice terraces of the Philippines. They're a pretty breathtaking feat of ancient engineering. These terraces, carved into the steep slopes of the Cordillera Mountains over 2,000 years ago, are often called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. The terraces were designed to grow rice, but the real magic is in how they were built, using the natural contours of the land and without modern technology. Generations of indigenous Ifugao people with basic tools created all of this. It's said the Ifugao people didn't just build the terraces, they became the land. They engineered intricate irrigation systems, creating channels and bamboo pipes that bring water from nearby rivers all the way up to the fields so that the crops are healthy even in the dry season. What's even crazier is that these terraces are still in use today. People are still farming rice on the very same terraces that were built over 2,000 years ago. San Agustin Archaeological Park in Colombia is home to the largest collection of megalithic sculptures in Latin America and is considered the world's largest necropolis. There are all kinds of statues here, which were likely carved between 5 and 400 CE. You'll find gigantic anthropomorphic figures of jaguars, crocodiles, and birds. Some statues stand as high as 23 feet, or about 7 meters. Others are smaller, but still very impressive. We still don't know exactly who created them or why. What is clear is that a lot of the statues appear to guard burial mounds, which means maybe the ancient culture believed in protecting the deceased in the afterlife. The site was first documented by a Spanish monk in the 18th century, but it wasn't until much later that serious excavations happened. And today, San Agustin is an UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 500 statues scattered across more than 50 square kilometers. Great Zimbabwe, found in modern-day Zimbabwe, is one of Africa's most incredible ancient sites and the largest collection of ruins south of the Sahara. Legend has it that this is where the biblical Queen of Sheba once ruled, but in reality the city existed between the 11th and 15th centuries. The exact identity of the people who built it was debated for years, with a lot of the colonial government in Rhodesia outright refusing to believe that the advanced city was built by native Africans, but today it's generally accepted that the Shona people built the city. At one point, Great Zimbabwe was home to around 18,000 people, and its massive stone walls, some reaching 5 meters or about 16.5 feet in height, were built without any mortar. Nan Madal in Micronesia is an ancient city built on over 100 tiny islets, earning its nickname Venice of the Pacific. There's a lot of mystery behind how it was built. Local legends say two wizard brothers, Olishipa and Oloshipa, arrived from across the sea in a giant canoe, and they wanted to create a place to honor the gods of the sea and harvest. After two failed attempts to move giant stones to the site, they used the magic of a dragon to levitate the blocks. Nan Madal's construction is still being studied today. The people who built it didn't have pulleys, cranes, no metal tools, so it's believed they moved nearly 2,000 tons of stone every year for over 400 years. How they manage this, especially in such a remote area, is still one of history's greatest mysteries. Angkor Wat in Cambodia is one of the most jaw-dropping ancient structures in the world. It's also the largest religious monument in the world. It was originally built in the early 12th century, designed as a Hindu temple dedicated to the god Vishnu. By the 14th century, it had become a Buddhist temple, which it remains to this day. The entire temple complex is surrounded by a massive moat. The main temple rises up with 5 towering spires representing the 5 peaks of Mount Meru, the center of the Hindu universe. The walls are etched with incredible images of mythical creatures and battle scenes, and the craftsmanship is so intricate that it really feels like a completely different world. And that's just from images and video I've seen. I can only imagine what it'd be like actually stepping into this place. And Angkor Wat is just part of what was once a much larger city, Angkor, which once housed over 1 million people. And that's massive when you consider it was built in a time long before cranes and other modern tools. Over the centuries, the jungle slowly is creeping back in and it's overtaking a lot of the city, leaving behind this incredible hidden world that wasn't fully rediscovered until the 19th century. Definitely a place I gotta add to my list of places I want to go. This is super exciting because it's a very recent find. In southeastern Mexico, a team of archaeologists has uncovered a hidden ancient Mayan city, more than 6,000 structures, including pyramids, all buried under thick vegetation. The city has been dubbed Valyriana, and it was revealed thanks to LiDAR, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging. It's a laser-based mapping tool that uses airborne sensors to scan the landscape. The data, collected back in 2013, as part of a forest monitoring project, wasn't actually being used for archaeology, but when researchers took a closer look, they saw this sprawling Mayan city. And according to Luke Auld Thomas, the study's lead author, our analysis revealed not only a picture of a densely settled region, but also a lot of variability. End quote. This wasn't just a small settlement, but a large city, potentially home to 30 to 50,000 people between 750 and 850 CE. The city was hidden in plain sight, with farmers unknowingly working among the ancient ruins. And it's amazing because 6,764 structures have been found, and as Auld Thomas put it, there is much more to be discovered. When I first saw an image of this place, I thought that it may have been an AI-generated image, but it isn't. Despite how fantastical this place looks, it's actually real. This is the Sigiriya rock fortress in Sri Lanka. High in the jungles of Sri Lanka, there's a towering rock fortress that doesn't look like it should exist. Sigiriya, also known as Lion's Rock, was built in the 5th century CE by King Kashyapa, who constructed this place on top of a giant boulder that rises 200 meters or about 650 feet above the ground. To enter the place, visitors had to climb this massive staircase that passed through the mouth of this colossal lion sculpture. After Kashyapa completed the palace, his brother launched an attack. Kashyapa's army abandoned him, and the king's wives jumped to their deaths from the top of the rock, and the fortress eventually was captured and fell into ruin. For centuries it was forgotten, first as a royal palace, then as a Buddhist monastery. When European archaeologists rediscovered it though, they were stunned. The lion entrance, real. The palace's mirror wall, designed to reflect the king's own image as he walked through, real. Today, UNESCO calls Sigiriya the 8th wonder of the world. What you're looking at here is known simply as the Lost City of Colombia. In the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta Mountains is a city that was lost to time for centuries. About 1,300 years ago, the Tairona people built an incredible city on top of the hills. And the story goes that they'd been instructed by their god, who told them to live as close as they could to the stars. For 700 to 800 years, people lived here until the Spanish conquistadors arrived, and the Tairona never encountered the Europeans themselves, but the diseases that they brought spread rapidly and wiped out the entire civilization. With no one left to care for it, the city fell into ruin and was mostly forgotten. It wasn't until the 70s that a group of bandits passing through the jungle came across this hidden city, and they couldn't believe their eyes. An ancient overgrown city full of precious artifacts. Pretty amazing. The bandits pocketed what they could and sold their loot on the black market, and that's when archaeologists caught wind of this amazing discovery, and soon what was known only as the Lost City was uncovered after nearly 500 years. For centuries, there's been a legend of this hidden city deep in the jungles of Honduras. Hernan Cortez, the infamous Spanish conquistador, heard rumors of what was called the White City, or the City of the Monkey God, a place said to be full of unimaginable wealth. Cortez searched and searched, but he never found it, and neither did anyone else for hundreds of years. But the legend never went away. Even Charles Lindbergh, the famous American aviator, claimed to have seen this city while flying over the country. Others swore that they'd found it, but for one reason or another, they couldn't or wouldn't reveal its location. Then in the early 2000s, archaeologists came across something almost by accident. A team following the path described by one of the more eccentric individuals who claimed to have discovered it ended up finding this massive ancient city exactly where he said it would be. Deep in the rainforest, they uncovered a pyramid and a series of stone sculptures, remnants of some advanced civilization that had vanished more than 1,000 years before. Now, it's still not 100% certain if this truly is the city of the monkey god Cortez spoke of, but it is still proof of a lost civilization. The lost city, now known as La Ciudad Blanca, is just a reminder that legends are sometimes closer to reality than we may realize. What you're looking at here is the ancient city of Tikal, deep in the Guatemalan rainforest. This ancient Mayan city, thought to have been called Yaxmutal, was once the capital of a powerful Maya kingdom, occupied from around 200 to 900 CE. There were huge pyramids, royal palaces, massive stone monuments, some still standing today, as you can see. Like a lot of Mayan cities, it's not super clear why it was abandoned. Could have been a combination of things, lack of resources, environmental changes. It wasn't until 1848, though, that an organized expedition rediscovered the place, but it's still one of the largest and best preserved archaeological sites in the Americas. The Rudston monolith is the tallest standing stone in all of Britain, sitting at 25 feet high in the graveyard of a church in the village of Rudston. It's thought to have been erected around 1600 BCE, but its exact origins are still a mystery. Some believe the monolith could have been the reason the village got its name, rather than the other way around. There have always been legends about the stone, though. One tale goes that the devil himself threw it as a spear during an attack on the church, but his aim was off, and it ended up stuck in the graveyard. As for archaeology, a man named Sir William Strickland did some digging around the site in the 1700s and found that the monolith might actually be twice as tall as it appears, with half of it buried underground. He also dug up a bunch of skulls, meaning the site may have been used for human sacrifice, but despite all of this, no one really knows for sure why the monolith is there or what it was used for. The Ica stones are a collection of carved volcanic rocks found in the Ica province of Peru. They range in size from small palm-sized pieces to huge boulders over a foot across. What's strange about them is the carvings, though. You have your typical ancient depictions of animals and human figures and ceremonial headdresses, stuff like that, but then you have stones that seem to show scenes of an ancient civilization with incredibly advanced technology. They're images of what looks like medical procedures, heart and brain surgeries, C-sections, organ transplants. Then there are carvings that seem to show these ancient people had knowledge of astronomy, with people looking through telescopes, and images of flying machines and spaceships. And you also have a lot of dinosaurs, but people interacting with dinosaurs. It's pretty cool. The big question is, how could a civilization that could have had advanced technology like this have existed so long ago, and why is there no evidence of these people? No ruins or artifacts other than these stones. Are these stones genuine artifacts from a lost society, or are they just a clever hoax? In 1998, developers in South Beach, Miami made a strange discovery while preparing to build new condos. As they dug into the ground, they found a circle of 24 large holes, each filled with heavy limestone tablets. They called in archaeologists to investigate, and what they uncovered was a perfectly formed stone circle about 38 feet in diameter. Along with the stones, they found animal bones, shark teeth, and old basalt axe heads. After studying the site, they estimated that the Miami Circle was about 2,000 years old, and that it was created by the Tequesta people, a nomadic tribe that lived in the area before European settlers arrived. What's strange is that there's no clear explanation for what the circle was used for, or even much solid info about the Tequesta themselves. The Golan structure is a mysterious site located in the Golan Heights, northern Israel. It's a large, ancient stone monument, but no one really knows what it was for. The site had these basalt stones arranged in a series of circular patterns, and it's believed to be about 3,000 years old. The main circle of stones is around 150 feet across, surrounded by smaller circles and enclosures. The precision in the arrangement of the stones has led some researchers to think it might have been used for rituals or even as an ancient observatory. But we have no definitive explanation, and there's no clear answer as to who built it either. Some think it might have been constructed by the ancient Canaanites, but there's still some debate on that. And finally, we have the Saqqara black boxes in Egypt. These coffin-shaped boxes, discovered near the Pyramid of Djoser, are made from solid Aswan granite, which is ridiculously tough. Each one weighs over 100 tons, and even just the lids themselves are around 30 tons. Somehow, though, these things were perfectly cut and assembled. Even with modern technology, making something like these would be an incredible challenge. Yet they were crafted thousands of years ago, and no one really knows what the purpose of these boxes was. The black boxes are just one of the things on the very long list of mysterious constructions made by the ancient Egyptians that some people think may have been built with help from advanced beings. The Baalbek stones in Lebanon are some of the most mysterious and massive stones you'll ever come across. Researchers still don't know how they were moved from where they were quarried to their final locations. There are 6 major stones here, and the biggest one, known as the Forgotten Stone, weighs about 1,650 tons. To put that in perspective, that is the heaviest stone ever quarried by humans that we know of, anyway. The other stones aren't much smaller, with some weighing around 1,000 and 1,242 tons. The smaller 3 stones form part of an old Roman temple. They're still pretty massive though, weighing around 750 to 800 tons each. One of the most famous stones here is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. It's not the biggest, but it's in great condition and sits at an odd angle in the quarry. The legends around it are wild. Some say it's linked to jinn, others believe it has some connection to fertility, but nobody knows for sure. The real question is, how did people move these massive stones with the tools they had at the time? Architects and engineers say we don't have any current technology that can lift and move these stones. They're way beyond what our modern construction methods can handle, and yet somehow there they are. What you're looking at here is not the set of an 80s fantasy movie. This is Coral Castle in Florida. It is, without a doubt, one of the most bizarre places in the country, and the story behind it is really strange too. It was built by a guy named Edward Leedskalnin, a Latvian immigrant who is known for being a bit of an eccentric recluse. He spent over 28 years building this place all by himself, carving massive stone walls, furniture, and sculptures out of oolite limestone. Some of these stones weigh up to 30 tons, yet he managed to move them and place them apparently without any help. Barely anyone ever saw him work, and he kept everything about the building process a secret. What makes Coral Castle even weirder is Leedskalnin's strange beliefs. He was obsessed with magnets and thought that they had healing powers. Some people even claim he used reverse magnetism or some sort of supernatural powers to move the stones. Others say he was just a huckster who used pulleys, but when you look at the scale of the work, it's hard to believe any of that could fully explain how he pulled this off. One of the only people who saw him work said he saw Leedskalnin controlling the stones, making them float in the air. What's even crazier is that he actually moved the entire castle from Florida City to its current spot in Homestead in 1936, all by himself. In the end, nobody knows exactly how he built this place, and it does leave you wondering if there could be something more to it than we can explain. Pumapunku, high in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia, is part of the Tiwanaku culture and dates back to somewhere around 536 to 600 CE. Some researchers even think it could be way older. What's wild about Pumapunku is the size of the stones. Some of them weigh as much as 131 tons, and these stones were somehow transported from over 50 miles away, which in itself seems impossible, especially since the site sits so high in the mountains. The area is above the tree line, so there were no trees around to roll the stones on logs like other ancient cultures did. So how exactly did they move all these massive blocks? The mystery doesn't even stop there. There are carvings on the stones that are so precise and detailed. It's hard to believe that they weren't etched in with advanced electric tools, but of course they weren't. It really makes you wonder if there was some kind of technology or techniques they could have been using that we just don't know about though. Next are the Longyou Longyou Caves in China, 24 human-made caverns carved into sandstone, and no one knows when or why they were built. These caves were mentioned in a 17th century poem, but there's nothing to confirm exactly when they were created. Some clay pots found inside were dated between 206 BCE and 23 CE, which gives us a rough time frame, but that's about it. What's even wilder is how they were discovered. In 1992, 4 farmers had been draining some ponds in their village, expecting to find nothing but mud. Instead, they uncovered these huge caverns. After more digging, they found 19 other caves nearby. The caves could be over 2,000 years old, but constructing them with the tools available at the time would have been an enormous feat, requiring around 1,000 skilled workers working 24/7 for years. And on top of all this, no one can figure out where all the rubble went. Over 1 million cubic meters of stone would have been removed, but there's no trace of it anywhere. Asuka, a village in Japan, is home to some incredibly mysterious and ancient monuments dating back to the Kofun period around 250 to 552 CE. The area houses about 20 stone structures, and no one really knows who built them or why. A perfect example is the Masuda no Enfune, or the rock ship of Masuda. The thing is massive. It's 36 feet long, 26 feet wide, and 16.5 feet tall, weighing in at about 800 tons. It sits on top of a hill, and when you look at it, it really doesn't fit in with anything else around it. While most of the other monuments in Asuka are more in line with Buddhist style, this one stands out as looking almost alien. It doesn't look like anything from ancient Japan, and no one knows for sure what the purpose of this strange stone structure really was.
You might have heard whispers online about mysterious pyramids hidden beneath Antarctica's icy surface. Some theories suggest that these could be ancient structures built by aliens, lost civilizations, or even long-lost explorers. However, before you start picturing an Antarctic version of Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza, let's set the record straight. There is no evidence supporting the existence of man-made pyramids in Antarctica. What some interpret as pyramids are actually natural mountain formations. In 2016, satellite images highlighted a particularly striking peak in the Ellsworth Mountains, which sparked headlines and speculation, but experts confirm that these so-called pyramids are simply just impressive examples of glacial horns, shaped by natural geological processes over a millennia. While the name pyramid does appear in several official Antarctic mountain names, these are just descriptive of their shapes and not evidence of hidden ancient architecture. In early 2017, a satellite image of Antarctica sparked a flurry of excitement and speculation online when it appeared to show what some claimed was a giant staircase. Posted on a conspiracy theory forum where all the craziest information is, the image led to wild theories suggesting it could be an alien landing site. While some jumped to extraterrestrial conclusions, others proposed more plausible explanations, such as a glitch in the camera or snow formations. Despite the buzz, skeptics pointed out that the image lacked specific coordinates and could be a natural anomaly like snow dunes or ridges. Researchers and experts generally attribute such formations to natural processes rather than mysterious or alien origins, but the image certainly added another intriguing layer to the many conspiracy theories surrounding Antarctica. For this one, instead of just taking a look at this strange structure, we are climbing it. Well, not we, but someone did. In January 2013, a team of climbers and filmmakers, including Leo Holding, Sean Leary, Jason Pickles, Chris Rabone, and Alistair Lee, tackled a new route up the northeast ridge of Ulvitana in Antarctica's Fenrisk-Jeften Range. This 35-pitch route, stretching 1,750 meters, was the fourth ascent of Ulvitana, the highest peak in the range, known for its striking spire-like shape. Arriving on December 22nd, the team set up a festive base camp before spending 10 challenging days scaling the ridge through difficult 5.12 A2 terrain. Despite extreme cold, with temperatures dropping to -35 degrees Celsius and even a severe snowstorm, they reached the summit on January 24th. Although they had initially planned to base jump from the peak, dangerous weather conditions scientists led them to descend via traditional methods. The team's adventure, marked by intense climbing and harsh conditions, was captured in a film and celebrated as a major achievement in Antarctic climbing. The Hollow Earth theory is like something straight out of a sci-fi adventure, suggesting that beneath Antarctica's icy crust lies a gateway to a colossal, hollow world. Imagine a hidden realm, complete with its own advanced civilization, ecosystems, and maybe even mystical creatures, all tucked away in Earth's hollow core. Although this theory captures the imagination and has inspired countless stories in speculative fiction, it doesn't necessarily hold up under scientific scrutiny. Geologists and researchers firmly argue that our planet is solid with a layered structure, not a giant empty sphere. But I've never been, so maybe one day. I don't know. I'm not going to the center of the earth. I'm not Josh Hutcherson. Despite its freezing temperatures, Antarctica is home to several volcanoes, including 4 on Ross Island. While most of these volcanoes are dormant, Mount Erebus stands out as the world's southernmost active volcano and Antarctica's second highest peak, reaching 3,800 meters. Over the past 30 years, Mount Erebus has shown increased volcanic activity, featuring a remarkable landscape of liquid magma and ancient lava lakes that have been boiling for about 1.3 million years. Due to its remote location and harsh weather, access to Mount Erebus is definitely limited, but a team of scientists managed to climb it in 2013. They braved snow, rocks, and glaciers to reach the summit, where they discovered life thriving in the volcano's heat, including microorganisms living in ice caves and soil. These extreme conditions make these organisms some of the most unique and resilient in the entire world. Beneath Antarctica's thick ice sheet lies Lake Vostok, an enormous subglacial lake that remains hidden from view and has intrigued scientists for years. This vast lake, which is roughly the size of Lake Ontario, sits under miles of ice and is home to unique microbial life that thrives in extreme conditions. Because Lake Vostok has been isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years, its environment has led to some fascinating theories. Scientists speculate that the lake could harbor hidden ecosystems or even unknown forms of life adapted to its extreme conditions. The discovery of these extremophiles, microorganisms that survive in such harsh environments, fuels excitement and curiosity, hinting at the possibility of life forms that could exist in other extreme environments, possibly even ones beyond our own planet. In 2017, Antarctica saw a dramatic event when a massive hole, roughly the size of Ireland, appeared in its ice. Known as a polynya, this hole, which stretches across 78,000 square kilometers, is the largest of its kind observed since the 1970s and the first to form in 40 years. Located in the Weddell Sea of the Southern Ocean, this giant opening was created by warmer, saltier water from deeper ocean layers rising up and melting the ice above. As this warm water encounters the colder surface water, it cools and sinks, only to be reheated and pushed back to the surface in a continuous cycle. While scientists are still puzzling over the exact reasons behind the formation of these giant holes, some suggest they might be used by marine mammals for breathing. Researchers are actively studying these intriguing holes to better understand their formation and impact on the Antarctic environment. In Antarctica's fossil-rich regions, scientists have uncovered remarkably well-preserved remains of ancient forests that date back around 120 million years. These forests thrived when Antarctica was part of the supercontinent Gondwana, a far cry from the icy desert it is today. Some imaginative theories suggest these fossilized forests might be remnants of an ancient lost civilization. While these ideas definitely capture the imagination, the current scientific consensus is that these fossils are valuable clues about Antarctica's warmer, greener past when it was home to lush vegetation and diverse ecosystems. Beneath the thick ice sheets of Antarctica lies a hidden marvel, the Gamburtsev Mountains. Stretching over 1,200 kilometers and rising up to 3,000 meters, about a third of the height of Mount Everest, these mountains remain largely concealed under a 2,000 to 4,000 kilometer thick ice layer. Discovered in 1958 by Russian scientists who noticed unusual gravity fluctuations while traveling across Antarctica, these mountains are named after Soviet geophysicist Grigory A. Gamburtsev. Despite never having directly observed these mountains, scientists use radar, gravity, and magnetic readings to study them and uncover their secrets. The Gamburtsevs have long puzzled researchers due to their age, estimated at around 1 billion years, as they should have eroded away over such a long period of time. One prevailing theory suggests that a frozen mantle may be shielding these ancient peaks from the relentless forces of erosion, preserving their grandeur beneath the ice. Antarctica is of course known for its harsh and freezing conditions, and because of this, it is home to some remarkable microorganisms, including a unique species of fungi that thrives in this icy environment. Unlike the fungi you might find in warm, forested areas, these Antarctic fungi have adapted to survive the extreme cold by feeding on the old wooden huts left behind by early explorers. Another intriguing type of fungi in Antarctica has been discovered living off of the petroleum leaks from abandoned fuel containers. This type of fungi is particularly interesting because scientists are exploring its potential for cleaning up larger oil spills around the world. By studying these resilient fungi, researchers hope to harness their capabilities for environmental cleanup and gain insights into how life can adapt to the most extreme conditions on Earth. Have you ever wondered what lies beneath a seemingly tranquil sinkhole in a tropical paradise? Cenote Angelita, nestled in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, isn't your typical underwater cave. At first glance, it appears as a serene, clear cenote where sunlight dances on gentle waters, but dive a little deeper and you'll encounter a bizarre phenomenon. A dense layer of hydrogen sulfide that forms a mysterious river-like boundary between freshwater and saltwater. This river creates an almost ghostly transition zone, as if two distinct worlds are colliding underwater. For divers, this experience is both eerie and mesmerizing, blurring the lines between science and the supernatural. Cenote Angelita challenges our understanding of underwater ecosystems, proving that even the most peaceful-looking spots can harbor secrets that defy logic. What if the arteries of an ancient empire still pulse beneath modern cities? Welcome to the Cloaca Maxima, Rome's ancient sewer system, a marvel of engineering built over 2,500 years ago. Originally constructed to drain the marshlands that once plagued the Eternal City, this vast network of tunnels was critical in transforming Rome into a thriving metropolis. Carved from stone and designed with remarkable precision, the Cloaca Maxima not only managed waste, but also functioned as a water drainage system that helped prevent floods. Over the centuries, it has been expanded, restored, and repurposed, standing as a testament to the ingenuity of Roman engineers. Today, while parts of it are hidden beneath modern streets, the remnants of this subterranean marvel continue to inspire historians and engineers. Its survival against the test of time challenges our modern assumptions about infrastructure and reminds us that sometimes the most groundbreaking technology is buried right under our feet. Could remnants of a dark past be lurking in the icy recesses of mountain tunnels? Tucked away beneath the snowy peaks of the French Alps are a series of World War II era bunkers and tunnels, whispers of a shadowy past that many believe still hold untold secrets. Constructed during the Second World War, these underground fortifications were designed to house command centers, armaments, and even escape routes in the event of Allied advances. Beyond their documented military use, conspiracy theories have long swirled around these tunnels, with some suggesting they hide secret archives, experimental technologies, or even evidence of collaborations with mysterious third parties. Today, while historians and military enthusiasts cautiously explore these sites, the precise details of what remains locked away beneath the ice continue to be a subject of heated debate. Whether viewed as grim relics of wartime necessity or a potential gateway to undiscovered secrets, these alpine bunkers challenge our understanding of history and the lengths governments will go to secure their secrets underground. Could extraterrestrial secrets be hidden in the vast deserts of the American Southwest? A favorite topic among conspiracy theorists involves alleged underground alien bases scattered throughout the arid landscapes of the American Southwest. While the infamous Area 51 often steals the spotlight, rumors persist of even more secretive subterranean complexes tucked away in the remote deserts of Arizona and New Mexico. These theories suggest that advanced extraterrestrial technology recovered from UFO crashes or offered in clandestine exchanges is stored in massive, hidden underground hangars and laboratories. Although mainstream science has found no concrete evidence to substantiate these claims, the stories persist, fueled by mysterious sightings, unexplained energy readings, and the isolated nature of these vast desert expanses. Whether you view these tales as wild fiction or intriguing possibilities, the idea of secret alien bases underground continues to spark the imagination, blurring the lines between fact, folklore, and the unexplained. What if the barren landscapes of Mars conceal natural shelters that could one day host human colonies? Traveling off Earth for this one, recent studies have revealed extensive networks of lava tubes on Mars, giant tunnels carved out by ancient volcanic eruptions. These natural caverns, some spanning hundreds of meters in length and soaring high enough to offer vast interior spaces, could shield future explorers from the harsh Martian surface conditions, including cosmic radiation and extreme temperature swings. Scientists believe that these tubes may even have preserved signs of ancient microbial life tucked away in their dark recesses for billions of years. Imagine exploring these silent, otherworldly passageways where the walls still echo the story of Mars' volcanic past, an untouched environment that beckons us to rethink the possibility of life on other planets. Mars lava tubes not only spark visions of extraterrestrial habitats, but also invite us to consider the resilience and adaptability of life in unexpected places. Have you ever stumbled upon a secret built by ancient hands that seems to defy time itself? On Mount Kulium in Russia, just 8 kilometers from the village of Orton, lie the Gora Shorya megaliths. These imposing stone structures form a complex of ancient monuments whose purpose still baffles archaeologists and historians. Carved from massive blocks of rock, the megaliths appear to be arranged with a precision that hints at sophisticated astronomical or ritual functions. Some researchers suggest that their layout might correlate with celestial events, while others believe that they could have served as a territorial marker or sacred sites for long-lost cultures. The sheer scale and craftsmanship of these monuments, hidden in the rugged terrains of the Russian wilderness, raise more questions than answers. Were they built by a forgotten civilization, or do they hide clues about ancient knowledge lost to time? What if everything you thought you knew about the Earth is upside down? In the late 17th century, the renowned astronomer Edmund Halley proposed an audacious idea that our planet might be hollow, with vast interior spaces lit by an inner sun. Though modern geology has debunked this notion with evidence of a dense, layered Earth, the hollow Earth theory has stubbornly persisted in pop culture and conspiracy circles. This concept suggests not only the possibility of hidden subterranean realms, but also speculates about secret civilizations thriving in an inner world. From Jules Verne's adventurous tales to modern fringe documentaries, the idea has ignited imaginations for centuries. While scientific advancements have confirmed the Earth's solid structure, the enduring fascination with a hollow planet invites us to ponder alternative realities and question established knowledge. The theory's persistence reveals our innate desire desire to explore the unknown and imagine worlds beyond our everyday experience. What if the heart of our planet isn't as uniform as we once thought? Deep beneath the African continent, scientists have discovered a colossal structure in the Earth's mantle, an enormous blob that occupies a staggering portion of our planet's volume. Estimated to cover roughly 6% of the Earth's mantle, this mysterious formation challenges conventional ideas about plate tectonics and mantle convection. Researchers speculate that these giant blobs could be remnants of ancient superplumes, massive upwellings of hot rock that helped shape continents and drive volcanic activity millions of years ago. Their composition remains a subject of intense study, and debates continue over whether they play a critical role in Earth's magnetic field or seismic activity. As cutting-edge imaging technologies reveal more about these deep-seated anomalies, the blobs beneath Africa remind us that our planet's interior is a dynamic, ever-changing realm, one that's filled with puzzles that push the boundaries of modern geology and our understanding of Earth's hidden forces. Have you ever wondered what secrets lie beneath the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean? Similar to their African counterpart, scientists have identified another enormous blob deep within the Earth's mantle, this time under the Pacific. This mysterious structure, also occupying about 6% of the mantle's volume, has ignited debates among geologists. Some researchers theorize that these blobs are crucial in driving the movement of tectonic plates, potentially influencing everything from volcanic eruptions to earthquakes. Others speculate that they could be relics of ancient mantle processes, frozen snapshots of a time when the Earth's interior was far more tumultuous. Although our current imaging techniques offer glimpses of these structures, their exact composition and origins remain shrouded in mystery. The giant blob beneath the Pacific is a reminder that the Earth's underbelly still holds many secrets. As technology advances, we may one day unlock the full story of these giants, and in doing so, gain a deeper understanding of the forces that shape our world. Have you ever thought that a lava tube could stretch for miles beneath an island paradise? I didn't even know that lava tubes existed. On the volcanic landscapes of Hawaii, the Kazumura cave system winds its way beneath the surface, claiming the title of the world's longest lava tube. Formed by ancient volcanic eruptions, these tunnels extend for over 40 miles and offer a fascinating glimpse into the raw power of nature. As you navigate the cave's winding passages, you encounter towering stalactites and stalagmites formed from solidified lava, natural sculptures that seem too perfectly crafted to be real. The ambient lighting filtering through crevices casts eerie shadows, turning the entire journey into an adventure straight out of a fantasy novel. The Kazumura Cave is a reminder of the dynamic and ever-changing nature of our planet, where even the forces of fire and lava can create a hidden world that defies our expectations. Hidden in the hills of southeastern Zimbabwe lies a sprawling stone city that once housed up to 20,000 people. Built between the 11th and 15th centuries, Great Zimbabwe is made entirely of dry stone walls, some towering over 30 feet high and stretching for hundreds of feet without mortar. These walls were so carefully constructed that many still stand today. The city was once the heart of a powerful kingdom, rich from trade in gold and ivory, and yet its remote location still puzzles researchers. When Europeans stumbled upon the site in the 1800s, they refused to believe local Africans had built it, instead attributing it to ancient outsiders like the Phoenicians or the Arabs. It wasn't until later that archaeology proved it was indeed built by the ancestors of the Shona people. Despite that, the site still raises questions about why such a massive city was constructed in rugged terrain, far from major trade routes. To this day, Great Zimbabwe remains one of Africa's most mysterious and isolated ancient cities. Imagine an entire city built on the ocean, made of massive basalt stone stacked into artificial islands. That is Nan Madal, a ruined city off the coast of Micronesia. Nicknamed the Venice of the Pacific, it consists of nearly 100 islets connected by canals stretching across a lagoon. Built between the 12th and 17th centuries, the site required transporting stones weighing up to 50 tons each. The problem is that the people of the time had no cranes, no wheels, and no draft animals to help move such weight. To this day, no one knows exactly how the builders did it. Some theories suggest log rafts, others believe it required thousands of workers, and local legends even speak of magic. Nan Madal is so isolated that it takes hours to reach it, even with modern travel. Surrounded by ocean and thick jungle, it feels abandoned in time, one of the most mysterious monuments ever built in the middle of nowhere. Stretching for miles across the countryside of Brittany in northwestern France are over 3,000 standing stones arranged in rows, circles, and clusters. Known as the Karnak stones, they date back nearly 7,000 years, making them older than most of Europe's famous prehistoric monuments. Some of the stones weigh up to 350 tons, and no one knows exactly why they were placed in such patterns. Theories range from astronomical alignments to religious ceremonies to ancient markers for burial sites. Unlike Stonehenge, which draws millions of visitors, the Karnak stones remain scattered across farmland and forests, blending into the quiet countryside. The sheer number and scale make them one of the strangest prehistoric monuments in Europe, especially considering the builders were Neolithic people with no advanced technology. To walk among them is to feel like you've stepped into a forgotten ritual landscape left behind in the middle of nowhere. High in the Andes of Bolivia, in one of the driest and most remote regions on Earth, lies a network of perfectly straight lines etched into the ground. Known as the Sajama lines, these geoglyphs stretch across an area of more than 15,000 square miles, with some lines running up to 10 miles long. The lines are carved into the soil, some only a few inches deep, yet they have lasted for thousands of years thanks to the dry climate. Like the Nazca lines of Peru, they can only be fully appreciated from the air. Archaeologists believe they were created by indigenous people over 3,000 years ago, but their purpose is still debated. Were they ceremonial pathways used during rituals, astronomical markers to track the stars, or something else entirely? What's certain is that they exist in one of the most isolated landscapes imaginable, where the high altitude, freezing nights, and thin air make even survival difficult. Deep in the Ural Mountains of Russia, far from any cities, explorers have found massive stone blocks stacked into formations that look man-made. Some of these stones weigh hundreds of tons and appear to be cut with precision, giving the impression of ancient walls or platforms. Known as the Ural megaliths, this site has sparked heated debate. Mainstream archaeologists argue that they are natural formations shaped by erosion and geological forces, while others insist they show signs of deliberate human construction. Without large-scale excavation or detailed studies, the mystery remains unsolved. What adds to the intrigue is the isolation. The Ural Mountains are vast, cold, and rugged. On the small island of Malta, far from mainland Europe, stand temples older than the pyramids of Egypt. The Hagar Kim temples were built around 36,000 BC using massive limestone blocks, some weighing over 20 tons. The temples feature doorways, altars, and carvings that align with the summer and winter solstice, proving that their builders had advanced knowledge of astronomy. What makes them incredible is not just their age, but their location. Malta is a small island in the Mediterranean, and yet thousands of years ago, people managed to transport and arrange these stones with remarkable precision. Carved straight down into solid rock, the Kailasa temple looks like an entire mountain was hollowed out by hand. Located at the Longyou Caves, this temple is so remote that for centuries it sat hidden from most of the world. What makes it even stranger is how it was built. Instead of stacking stone blocks, workers carved downward into basalt rock, removing over 200,000 tons of stones using nothing more than chisels and hammers around the 8th century. The sheer scale of this effort would have taken decades, maybe even centuries, and yet there's no record of exactly how it was done. The temple is filled with intricate carvings of gods, animals, and mythological scenes that still hold their shape today. Many researchers compare their precision to modern engineering, but it was done with primitive tools. Some suggest thousands of workers labored tirelessly, while others wonder if advanced methods were lost to history. To this day, this temple remains one of the largest rock-cut temples on Earth, sitting in the middle of a rugged landscape far from major cities. One of my favorite places to talk about, Gobekli Tepe. On a barren hilltop in southern Turkey, archaeologists unearthed something that completely rewrote history. Gobekli Tepe is a series of massive stone circles dating back over 11,000 years, older than Stonehenge and even the pyramids. Each T-shaped pillar weighs up to 10 tons and is covered in carvings of animals like lions, vultures, and snakes. The site predates agriculture, meaning it was built by hunter-gatherers who supposedly lacked the organization and resources to create something this complex. That fact alone shocked the archaeological community. Even stranger, the site was intentionally buried around 8000 BC, preserving it until it was rediscovered in the 1990s. Why anyone would bury a place of such importance is a mystery in itself. Its location adds to the mystery, sitting in a remote region surrounded by rolling hills with no evidence of large settlements nearby. Its existence forces us to rethink what early humans were capable of. Rising 600 feet above the Sri Lankan jungle, Sigiriya is a massive rock fortress that looks like something out of a fantasy story. In the 5th century, a king built an entire palace on top of the rock, complete with gardens, frescoes, and even a mirrored wall polished so smooth that the king could see his reflection in it. Archaeologists believe the fortress was designed not just as a royal palace, but also as a defensive stronghold. Today, reaching the top still requires climbing narrow staircases that wind along cliffs with sheer drops below. From the summit, the view stretches endlessly across jungle and farmland, reinforcing how isolated the structure really is. Building something like this in such a location was a near impossible feat for the time, especially considering the resources needed to carry materials up the rock. Its placement feels intentional, almost as if it was designed to be hidden from invaders and the rest of the outside world, preserved as a fortress in the middle of nowhere. In a granite quarry outside Aswan, far from the Great Pyramids and temples, lies an unfinished obelisk, still attached to the... If completed, it would have stood nearly 100 feet tall and weighed 1,200 tons, making it the largest obelisk ever attempted. But during construction, cracks appeared in the stone and the project was abandoned. What's left behind is almost more fascinating than a finished monument. You can still see tool marks carved into the stone, offering rare clues into ancient Egyptian construction methods. Historians believe obelisks like this were meant to honor gods or commemorate pharaohs, but moving one of this size remains a mystery. Even with modern cranes, transporting a single 1,200-ton block would be a challenge. The quarry itself sits in a remote part of southern Egypt, far from the Nile's major centers of power, making this unfinished monument one of the strangest ancient relics that never left the middle of nowhere.
And just when you think Baalbek couldn't possibly have anything bigger, I promise this whole list isn't just from this one place, but archaeologists dug around in 2014 and found an even larger stone sitting right beneath the already massive stone of the pregnant woman. This third monolith, often called the Forgotten Stone, weighs in at about 1,650 tons. That is over 3.3 million pounds. It's about 64 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 18 feet high. To this day, it's considered the largest known stone ever carved by humans. And again, it looks like the builders started cutting it out and then just stopped. The entire underside is still connected to the bedrock. There are no wedge holes, no signs it was ever even close to being moved. That's raised a ton of questions, pun very much intended. Really, it's just one question: why did they abandon the project? But I had to make the pun. But this thing was hidden under centuries of debris, and since it's still attached to the quarry floor, we don't actually know what their plan was. Next up is the unfinished obelisk in Egypt. This granite giant is still attached to the bedrock in its quarry in Aswan. If it had been completed, it would have stood about 137 feet tall and weighed roughly 1,160 to 1,200 tons, which is around 2.3 to 2.6 million pounds. The Egyptians were carving it during Queen Hatshepsut's reign, but once cracks appeared, they abandoned the project. Today, you could still clearly see the tool marks and even the holdups where workers used harder stone balls to chip it out. Why is it still here? Well, it was never finished or detached. Maybe they were just too ambitious and realized there was just no way they were gonna lug that thing out of there. Next on the list, we have the Thunderstone. So this massive rock was dug out of a swamp near the Gulf of Finland in the 1700s, and it ended up as the base of the famous bronze horseman statue in St. Petersburg. Originally, it weighed around 1,500 tons, about 3.3 million pounds. It was trimmed down to about 1,250 tons during the move, but even then, it was still one of the heaviest objects ever moved by humans without modern machinery. It's made of something called Rapakivi granite, which is a specific type of granite found mostly in that region. Looks a bit different from regular granite. It has large round crystals that kind of pop out, and it's known for breaking apart more easily. That crumbly texture made carving and shaping the stone risky, so they had to be extra careful not to crack it during the move. I mean, imagine a chunk from a stone that weighs thousands of tons falling on you. Yeah, moving it was quite a risk. Around 400 workers dragged it more than 3.5 miles over swampy ground using ball bearings under wooden rails to roll it forward. It would have been very slow. After that, they floated it across the Neva River. The move took nearly 2 years. Next up, we have the Colossi of Memnon, 2 massive stone statues that have been sitting in the Egyptian desert for over 3,000 years. No one's quite sure how the ancient builders managed this. Each one is around 60 feet tall, about a 6-story building, and weighs about 720 tons. Now, 720 tons, like, that sounds light now compared to the other entries on the list, but that's still about 1.4 million pounds. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around numbers that big. They were carved from single blocks of quartzite sandstone, and they weren't carved locally. A type of stone comes from a quarry near Cairo, which is over 400 miles away. So this would have been like dragging a skyscraper-sized boulder across the desert. They were originally part of a massive mortuary temple for Pharaoh Imhotep III, but most of that complex has been lost to time. Interestingly, for centuries, the northern statue was reported to sing at dawn, a kind of whistling or humming sound. Ancient Greeks and Romans actually traveled there just to hear it. Scientists think it had something to do with temperature shifts and cracks in the stone, but it's still eerie how consistent the reports were. What's left of Ramses II's statue is just the broken pieces, but even those are ridiculously huge. The fallen torso alone weighs around 1,000 tons and would have stood around 60 feet tall when it was still upright. It used to stand outside the Ram Museum, a giant temple complex built by Ramses II, who ruled Egypt for 66 years and basically made everything in his name as big as possible. Because why not if you're in that position? The statue is carved from a single piece of granite, which didn't come from Luxor, it came from Aswan, nearly 110 miles away. There's desert, rocky terrain, and the Nile between those 2 spots. Archaeologists think the statue may have been broken during an earthquake, but there's also evidence that it was intentionally dismantled by rulers who came later, or looters who used the pieces for building material. Still, craftsmanship is insane. The carving is so precise, you could still make out details of the face and headdress, even with chunks missing. There's also debate about how they even stood this thing up in the first place, considering it's heavier than anything we can move whole today. Inside the Western Wall tunnels in Jerusalem is a stone that's somehow both easy to miss and absolutely massive. It's about 45 feet long, 11 feet high, and estimated to be around 6.5 feet thick, which puts its weight somewhere between 550,000 and 660,000 pounds. So it makes it even crazier, as it's not just lying around, it's fitted perfectly into the wall, right in the middle of a row of huge stones stacked with barely any gaps between them. It's part of what's called the Great Course, which is a set of foundation stones from the time of King Herod over 2,000 years ago. These were placed without mortar. They were just perfect cuts holding everything together. Some of the joints are so tight you can't even fit a sheet of paper between them. Nobody knows exactly how they did this, but the theory is they used wooden rollers and levers. Even now, the stone is in such a tight underground spot that it wasn't properly measured until the 80s using ground-penetrating radar. The Dolmen of Menga, one of the oldest and most impressive prehistoric engineering projects in Europe. Built around 5,700 years ago, it's made of 32 stones, with the biggest weighing over 150 tons. People actually dug these stones out, dragged them nearly half a mile, and stacked them by hand, probably over hundreds of years. The biggest ones come from a nearby hillside, and instead of rolling them on logs like you often hear about, they slid them across packed dirt using wooden sleds and stone tracks. So they basically built temporary roads. Archaeologists even found grooves in the ground where the sleds were dragged. Inside, the stones weren't just dumped into place. The ones standing upright lean in slightly, which helps them hold up the heavy ceiling stones without everything caving in. At the base of the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, Lebanon, are 3 limestone blocks that are famous for how insanely huge they are. They're called the Trilithon blocks. Each one is around 64 feet long, over 14 feet high, and weighs somewhere between 750 to 800 tons. And they aren't just sitting on the ground. Somehow these things have been placed about 20 feet up in a retaining wall. Even today, with all the technology we have, lifting a single one of these stones would be a major challenge. For comparison, the strongest cranes in the world, like the Liebherr LR 13,000, can lift around 3,000 tons, but that's under perfect controlled conditions and usually with smaller sized loads. Getting a 800-ton stone hoisted and placed precisely the way the Romans did it is still not something that could be done casually or quickly today. Most experts think the stones were cut from a nearby quarry slightly uphill and then moved into place using a combination of levers, rollers, and dirt ramps. There's no official blueprint for how it happened though, but the stones are there and they've been sitting solidly in place for nearly 2,000 years. No one has moved them since. Also in Lebanon is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. It still sits in the quarry near the Temple of Jupiter, and it's even heavier than the Trilithon blocks. It measures about 68 feet long, 14 feet wide, and weighs about 1,000 tons. To this day, no one has moved it. It cracked during or after quarrying, so it was never transported, but it's not the only one like this. There are even larger stones still buried nearby, including one estimated to weigh over 1,600 tons. The name Stone of the Pregnant Woman comes from a local legend. The story goes that a pregnant woman promised to move it if people fed her until she gave birth, which obviously didn't happen. That's where the name comes from. It has nothing to do with the stone's real purpose. Researchers believe the block was intended for the same platform as the Trilithon stones, but the crack probably made it unusable. What's crazy is that these stones were cut so precisely, skillfully, that even today, it's not fully clear how they planned to move them without modern equipment. Next up is the Stone of the South. This one's even bigger than the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, around 19.5 to 20.5 meters long, or about 4.3 to 4.5 meters high and wide, and roughly 1,242 tons. That's heavier than anything the Romans actually moved. It's still sitting in the quarry untouched. People think it might have cracked or just proved way too big to move. It's just a few hundred meters from where the trilithon and pregnant woman's stones were quarried. Again, it was probably going to the same place, but something stopped the Romans from finishing the job. Some modern cranes can technically lift around 1,200 tons, but again, that's under perfect conditions. For starters, you'd want the ground to be flat. This stone is half buried, it's tilted, nowhere near ready to be lifted. Even if you could attach a cable, just getting a crane into that uneven quarry and setup would probably be a nightmare, probably harder than the lift itself. Off the coast of Cuba, there's something pretty wild lying underwater: pyramids. Using sonar, researchers found what looks like the remains of an ancient city, complete with giant stone structures. The find was made in 2001 by a marine engineer named Pauline Zalitsky and her husband, Paul Weinswig, owners of a Canadian company called Advanced Digital Communications. Some of these formations are massive, around 400 meters wide and 40 meters tall, or about 1,312 feet wide and 131 feet tall or so. And they're not natural either, at least they really don't seem to be. The way they're laid out suggests they were designed by humans, so the questions are, how old are they and who built them? Some experts think the city could be 6,000 years old, others believe it could go back as far as 50,000 years. Even more interesting, there are strange symbols and carvings on some of these stones, and they don't match any known languages. But they do kind of look a bit like Aztec or Mayan symbols. Ships have been reporting strange sightings in the Indian Ocean for over a century, and it all starts in 1873. On March 23rd of that year, the crew of the ship Adelheid, crossing the South China Sea, spotted a massive, mile-wide disc floating just beneath the surface, glowing with light. Then in 1879, the HMS Vulture crew reported seeing two giant, quote, Ferris wheels spinning in opposite directions with spokes 25 feet wide and 100 feet apart. Over the years, there have been more and more of these reports. In 1901, the crew of the SS Kilwa in the Persian Gulf saw rays of light coming from an underwater disc-like object. Then in 1943, sailor Matthew Mangle described a huge glowing disc pacing his ship, also in the Persian Gulf. These sightings didn't just happen once or twice, but across multiple decades and locations, each with similar descriptions of these bright, rotating, glowing discs beneath the water. They're all still a mystery to this day, with no clear explanation for what these massive underwater objects could be. At one time, the city of Neapolis was an important Roman city in Tunisia, until it was destroyed by a tsunami in 365. The same disaster hit Alexandria down the coast, but Neapolis was completely wiped out and stayed lost for over 1,700 years. Then in 2017, after 7 years of digging, archaeologists rediscovered it. Even though Neapolis was a Roman city, it sided with Carthage during the Punic Wars, which led the Romans to mostly just ignore this place in their records. But when they started uncovering this city, they found it was much bigger and more developed than they would have expected. One of the coolest finds was over 100 tanks used to make a garum, a popular fish sauce in ancient Rome. And it turns out Neapolis might have been one of the top producers of it. In 2007, underwater archaeologist Mark Hawley discovered something incredible in Lake Michigan, a structure that looks a lot like Stonehenge, known as the Michigan Stonehenge. This underwater arrangement of stones sits about 40 feet below the surface and forms this circular pattern. Some of the stones even appear to be lined up in a straight row, which is certainly strange. So what are these stones doing there? Could they be the remnants of an ancient civilization? The way these stones are laid out suggests they were carefully arranged this way, not formed naturally. One of the most curious finds is a rock with what looks like it might have a mastodon carved into it. And to make it even more mind-blowing, these stones are thought to be around 9,000 years old, predating Stonehenge by about 4,000 years. This last one's different from pretty much everything else on this list. It's not an ancient city, but it's creepy all the same. A cemetery of sunken Japanese World War II ships. In 1944, Chuuk Lagoon in Micronesia was the site of Operation Hailstone, where US fighter planes bombed Japanese warships, and today, this lagoon is home to over 60 shipwrecks, remnants of that brutal battle. It's all just sitting underwater now, corroding ships, tanks, and cars are even scattered across the seabed. As divers swim through the site, they might find barnacle-covered firearm, old gas masks, abandoned medicine bottles, personal items, all just frozen in time. Some of these wrecks even have the bones of soldiers who died in the battle. It's incredibly eerie, no doubt, but divers will also say the place has a certain beauty to it, a kind of haunting stillness. The submerged city of Pavlo-Petri, found off the coast of southern Greece, is believed to be over 5,000 years old, making it the oldest known sunken city in the world. Discovered in 1967 by Nicholas Fleming, it's an ancient settlement almost perfectly preserved, with its streets, buildings, and tombs all sitting underwater. Over time, earthquakes and rising sea levels submerged the place around 1000 BCE, and it never resurfaced. The city was a trading hub. There's evidence that it had connections with Crete and other civilizations of the time. Excavations have revealed 15 well-planned buildings and a complex water system. These people were skilled engineers. With high-tech tools like sonar mapping and underwater robots, archaeologists have been able to create a 3D digital map of the city, giving us a closer look at its layout and how it would have functioned. The mystery of crystal pyramids in the Bermuda Triangle has been talked about since the 60s. The first real claim came from a man named Dr. Ray Brown, who, while scuba diving off the coast of the Bahamas, reported coming across this underwater pyramid.
That he came across the most magnificent find of all. In the murkiness, he spotted the tip of a submerged pyramid, barely visible above the ocean floor.
He described it as being made of a crystal-like material, even saying he was able to retrieve a piece of it, but that his camera equipment was destroyed in a storm, thus he was unable to return with actual photographic evidence of the pyramid. Dubious for sure, but since then more stories about underwater pyramids have spread. And then again, the documentary that his story comes from was narrated by Leonard Nimoy, so I can see why people were so intrigued. I mean, it's Mr. Spock. I'd believe it too. Pyramids were found at a depth of 2,000 meters. The report claimed that they were 3 times bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids were allegedly made of this crystal-like substance. The thing is, Dr. Meyer Verlag has never been verified to exist. So, is this an actual find or just another piece of Bermuda Triangle folklore? Off the coast of Malta, a discovery in 1999 started a bit of a debate. They're known as the underwater temples of Gebel Gol Bahar. Hubert Zeitmer, a retired businessman, discovered the ruins. Zeitmer wasn't a scientist, and he was into the whole ancient astronauts conspiracy stuff, so a lot of people dismissed his findings, but that doesn't mean it's not intriguing. There hasn't been an official study into this, but unofficial research has claimed that the ruins could be thousands of years old. Some even think this area was once inhabited and could have been submerged by a massive flood, possibly the same one described in the Bible. Now, of course, mainstream scholars aren't really buying this theory, with some arguing that the rocks and boulders are just the result of illegal dumping, but it's not just the structures themselves that have people talking. There are also cart ruts, grooves in the seabed that stretch into the water, similar to ones found on the island of Malta itself, which means this area might have been on dry land at one point in time. What you're looking at here are the submerged ruins of a long-lost city called Xichang, aka China's Atlantis. It's pretty spectacular. It sits beneath the waters of Qingdao Lake in the Zhejiang province. The city of Xichang, or Lion City, was once a bustling metropolis during the Ming and Qing dynasties, but in 1959, it was intentionally flooded to create the Xing'an Dam and its hydroelectric station, which caused nearly 300,000 people to be relocated. The city was forgotten until 2001, when the Chinese government sent an expedition to explore what remained of this lost city. But it wasn't until 2011 that the discovery really took off. The Chinese National Geography published photos and illustrations showing what the city might have looked like before it sank. And what's wild is how well preserved the place is now. There are hundreds of archways with these intricate carvings of lions and dragons and phoenixes. Some inscriptions even date back to 1777. The Because the water protects the ruins from weathering, Xichang looks almost as if it were frozen in time, and divers from all over the world come to explore the area. Bimini Road was found off the coast of Bimini Island in the Bahamas in 1968 by Joseph Mason Valentine. The site consists of these large, flat stones arranged in a straight line across the seabed, leading many to believe that it could be the ancient remains of a city. As Valentine explored the area further, he uncovered more outlines of possible ruins around the road. Some were quick to point out that it seemed like evidence of the lost city of Atlantis, arguing that the stones were just clearly too uniform to be some natural formation. Mainstream scientists, though, think that the road is the result of nature, that erosion over a long period of time has just created this illusion of a flat road. Ray Brown, another researcher, claimed to have discovered a sunken pyramid near Berry Island, not far from Bimini. He was on a mission to find sunken galleons when he noticed the quote-unquote pyramid, and as he later reported, his navigation equipment malfunctioned right before the discovery, so maybe there's something to this one.
Look out, Stonehenge. Now we got a superhenge. Just 3 kilometers from Stonehenge lies an even larger ancient monument known as Superhenge. Hidden beneath the ground at Durrington Walls, this massive stone structure, uncovered in 2015, is believed to have once towered 4.5 meters during the Neolithic period. Though the stones mysteriously toppled and were buried around 4,500 years ago, their discovery paints a vivid picture of monumental site that rivaled Stonehenge in scale and maybe significance. See, inside the hedge, researchers also found timber-ringed circles, adding to this massive mystery of its purpose. A single stone called the Cuckoo Stone, made from the same material as Stonehenge, has been removed and studied. Now, given its size and proximity to its famous neighbor, many believe Superhenge is actually closely connected to Stonehenge, though its true purpose remains a puzzle lost in time. Number 4, the city at Old Sarum. Perched near Salisbury, England, Old Sarum is a fascinating site hiding the ruins of a medieval city beneath its surface. Yeah, imagine finding that. Oh, I found a city. Built in the late 11th century, the city once thrived with a castle, a cathedral, and bustling homes, peasants, all that medieval stuff. It was like Game of Thrones, only to be mysteriously abandoned 300 years later. Now, since traditional excavation is off limits due to its protected status, researchers have used advanced laser technology to map the underground structures. God, I love technology. Zoom. Found a castle. They've uncovered defensive walls, remnants of homes, and traces of furnaces and ovens. Now, while its ruins tell a story of life long ago, the reason for the city's disappearance, that is still an unsolved mystery. Number 3, Casa Grande. No, Ariana Grande does not live here. Archaeologists have uncovered some fascinating details about Casa Grande in Arizona. It was built around the early 13th century. This impressive structure included a ball court and a surrounding wall. But one mystery remains. What was the purpose of the 4-story central building? Was it a guard tower? Was it a grain silo? A religious center? It could have been anything. Was it something entirely different that we've ever mentioned? Abandoned long before Columbus's voyage and too deteriorated for Spanish explorers to investigate, the answers remain a mystery. Today, Casa Grande's main building is protected by a roof that was added in the 1930s, and the entire site stands as a federally protected national park. It's the first of its kind to preserve prehistoric ruins in the United States. Why we haven't been doing that for all of them, that's beyond me. Number 2, Bighorn Medicine Wheel. Scattered across North America, there are several medicine wheel monuments. They're these stone structures arranged in a wheel shape, sacred to many tribes of the northern Great Plains. But Wyoming's Bighorn Medicine Wheel, this one stands out. It measures at an impressive 75 feet in diameter, making it the largest of its kind. But wait, there's more. What's even more surprising is that it predates the arrival of the nearby Crow people. So in the 1970s, astronomer John Eddy made an intriguing discovery. Some spokes of the wheel align within the sunrise on different solstices, while others mark the rise of certain stars. It's like a map of the universe. That's crazy. This suggests that the site may have been once served as an ancient observatory. Yet the true origin of the wheel and those who built it remain a mystery to this day. Some like Transformers level stuff right there. It aligns with the stars? What is this, like E.T.? Number 1, Karnak stones. The impressively large collection of megalithic stones that cover the area of Karnak in France have boggled the minds of researchers for years. Why are they here? Who put them here? Who did this? They're also sometimes referred to as France's Stonehenge, ironically enough. Not a bad title. I guess there's Stonehenges everywhere, although these ones are quite different. The Karnak stones are a collection of 3,000 stones, which were all cut from the same rock and put in place somewhere around 500 BCE. Now, what confused a lot of researchers was the fact that even though these stones show alignments, dolmens, and other examples of ancient geography consistent with other sites, they really shouldn't have existed in this time period in which they were constructed. Scientists have been trying to decode the arrangement of the stones for years, but there's nothing. They're trying to figure out what it all means, but they're looking at 3,000 stones, so they're like, I got nothing. It's a bunch of stones. I don't know what you want from me.